With speaking of spring, there's always that sense of rebirth, rejuvenation, and kind of brings me to where I am today. We're in Kelowna. I'm here actually to celebrate my mom's 70th birthday. I'm sitting here above the dog beach, so some of you may know Kelowna, if at all. Just at the end of Lakeshore, there's that dog beach / nude beach. Thankfully, no one's here because it's very cold. But I thought I'd take the opportunity to kind of check out some of the places where I grew up, in a sense. I moved to Kelowna shortly after high school in the sunny Okanagan here, and attended college, met some friends. Now with that, it was kind of that sense of growing up, now 18, going to college, still living with my parents at the time. And this was, to get kind of fancy with our psychological buzzwords, this was one of those places in my life where I kind of actualized and crystallized my identity. Kind of became the Todd, or at least I was able to show the Todd I always was. So when we moved here and I kind of became a grown-up, in a sense, became a little bit more independent, moved out on my own, I was able to really kind of find my feet and develop myself separate from, say, family or places I grew up, or friends that knew me as when I was 6 years old. This was almost that reinvention of myself. I spent those few years here, moved away for a bit, kind of faltered on my own, realized I was making some wrong decisions, came back to Kelowna, and then kind of continued on from there before I moved to where I am now in Vancouver. I hesitate to call this a home, in a sense. I moved all across Canada growing up, and I never really had those definite roots that, say, most people do when they are kind of born and raised in the same city. But I do really have that kind of attachment to this home, obviously because my mother's still here. But this is just one of those cities that just had a significant impact on me personally. So I still kind of struggle with that definition of what is home. To me personally, of course, my home now is with my wife in Vancouver. But coming here, there's still that familiarity, that comfort. Some of the sites just never change. Yet, Kelowna is always on the move. It's one of those cities that just never stops growing. Obviously, growing up as a agricultural area, becoming now just kind of a vineyard capital, and developing bigger buildings, bigger businesses. And like me, it's faltering sometimes. It's trying to be grown up when I don't think it's fully matured. And I think that's kind of one of my hesitations about living in a place like Kelowna. I mean, there are some things that just never change in this town, which is great, and that's where that level of comfort is. It's like going back to my parents' place, getting up in the middle of the night from my old bedroom, which is now just a guest room, and still being able to feel for that light switch on the wall, knowing how many paces it is to get to the bathroom in the dark. So I enjoy that. That's that feeling of home that I like. But driving through the streets here, there's just building upon building and development upon development. Some streets are completely unrecognizable, even from 10 years ago, much less 20. And yet there are some roads that are thankfully stuck in the 70s and just don't seem to ever change at all. And I guess that kind of still defines me too. I'm always growing. I'm always trying to find that new path, but really holding on to the part that makes me Todd, that keeps me the Todd that was born in the 70s. I guess my challenge, as I still grow up and mature, is to be as Todd as I can. Now, my question to you guys, and hopefully you can provide some kind of dialogue about this, especially those who lived here in this town and moved abroad. Where is home now? How do you define home? When you come to Kelowna, when you come back to a place that did have some significance to you, how does that make you feel these days? Because here, I don't feel attached. I don't feel like it's part of me. But despite that separation, it's still a pretty town. There is still that peace of mind and that calm being next to the lakeshore here.